Second place at the end of the road, Blasio. Second place. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay, and you, Archer?
Because you went from yesterday, hey, we might not make playoffs there, to, hey, we locked in second. We don't even need to play the first game. We good. So how was this jump for you all? Like, how was the team mentality before yesterday and now at the end of today?
I think the team mentality is still the same because we're focused on the next step. After we are qualified to playoff, we had like a greater goal in playoffs. So I think it's like work. It's like work is going on, and yeah, it's like one game like another.
But it's not an easy task, is it? You're going to be fighting
Yeah.
the top dog. But you've seen before, the game before. They're mortal. You know how to beat them now. Right?
Yeah. By the way, well played to Nord, but unlucky to them. We won the head-to-head, and now, if I'm not wrong, I think we end up like second place, and we will face Separati, and we never won against them. So, like the big task will arrive right now.
So let me ask you. You've never won versus Red. You had 2 opportunities. What do you believe was lacking in order for Venom Crest to win versus Ruddy? And how can you change it until playoffs? Because you'll not only have to beat them once, twice, you have to beat them 3 times.
First of all, Ruddy it's a great team, actually. It's a great team with good players. With like good synergy, still the spring splits. I think about Alex, I think about Build as well. And about us, about the games we faced against them. The first one, I think they were maybe, it was a lack of preparation from our side, I will say. And the second one, I think we had the game in our hands. It was like stuff like experience, because our lads are really talented, but they need to learn some stuff sometimes. And this game against Freddy, the second game, I think was really important in our progress.
So you think something changed from the second game until now that will help you on playoffs?
Yeah. After the game 2 against Freddy, I think we were like kind of unleashed, a bit unleashed. And
so
I
if
think
you had to pick a lane, tell me.
I think we saw it with the double 2-0 week after this one. So I think they understood something.
So if you had to pick a lane where you believe Venom Crest will be really comfortable versus Ruddy, which lane is it? It's a tough one.
It's tough to say because it will depend about drafts. But I will say it's about how we will manage Kiturukan with his AP junglers. It's most about this dude. He's really good, and we have to deal with this because he's kind of the identity of this team. So we will deal with Kiturukan and see how we will manage him.
Totally agree. I was expecting that one. Yeah, that's a good one. What is your takeaway? I don't know if I'll meet you until the end of the split. I don't know how interviews will be going. So, what is your big takeaway through this split and the way the Venom Crest team roster behaved until now? I know it's a lot of work put on you and the way you made a team and all that. So, how do you think the boys behaved?
I think we made a nice work. I think about my guy Godot at the end of the technical staff. I think about Uko as well. He's my partner at the front office, and obviously the player, because we had like a special way to work this split, and a big part of the job was on her shoulders. about individual stuff and training. So now we saw like a good grow up. So it's like we can say well played, congrats to everyone. But it's not finished because it's not our goal. Our goal is not to finish second at the end of the split.
Okay. Let's see what happens at the end of playoffs then. Thank you so much, Blas. It was a pleasure. And congratulations on the second spot. Have a lovely one.
Thanks a lot.
And there you go. Out of a sudden, the jungler makes a difference. And they need to beat that junglers from Ruddy. And specifically, I think we've seen in this game, Venomcrest jungler stepping up. They knew what to do. The bot lane needed to be destroyed. And I think they got it. Ever since from the beginning of the game. I don't know if you agree with me. Take your time, gentlemen.
I somewhat agree, right? I think this game was this was a weird game, I would say, because
He's back.
he's got initialized back, man. He made it.
You kept moving non-stop. I was like, what is it? It is what it is.
But if I do want to think, like, I think the main point for me, though, I noted a lot of standout performances in this game. Like, I saw a lot of mechanical outplays. The players were really limit testing each other, which was fun to see.
I'm actually properly back now.
I think
I muted myself on broadcast, apparently.
The top side, right? Incredible scenes on the desk here. But I think, like, in the top lane, for example, Lenny and Elijah really pushing their limits. In the mid lane, we saw it as well. A lot of, like, the mid lanes are really going at each other. Sumi and Fierce, man, really testing each other. I think we saw it in the bot lane. Fruity had the clutch outplay there when they got the kill on in the bot lane on Lingard, where he was trying to outplay. So I thought, the players we've been praising so much were really testing each other. And in the end, though, Lingard, that one death was from that 1v2 in the bot lane, where he almost outplayed it, but Fruity Fish got the upper hand. But other than that, like, near perfection. This Ezreal, I think they've removed the skill shots when Lingard plays it, because I rarely saw him miss anything. Incredible performance from him, and I think today so far, the players we've been hyping has either been the unsung heroes or the MVPs throughout the whole split, have just been stepping up, showing exactly why we spent this time in the pre-show telling their story and building them up.
Yeah, and kind of with that as well, Fruity Fresh is one of those players who has come in and played his own game in such a fantastic way as well this split, and that's kind of good fun on that one as well. So I'm right there with you. I think it's been a really cool showing to see that kind of player do so well with that.
And I think if you look back at this game for Lungfist, it's a bit of a sour one, because they were so close to playoffs. For them, there wasn't anything to play around anymore. But Arsha, you opened with from the early game. I don't think we can say Venomcrest took it over from the early game. I think if we go back into our mind to the early game from Lungfist, they actually had a good showing there. There was a very clean dive from Venomcrest in the bot side, but for the rest, it was Lungfist light side trying to take over the map, trying to go on. Out on a last hurrah, and I distinctly remember a lot of. He's Danish, by the way, when Elijah was taking over the top side. So I think for those players, it's looking to the next season. It's looking to seeing what teams they can end up in, because it's a team that you can see getting picked dry a bit, where there's a lot of interesting talent that other teams might want to work with.
It's interesting because we highlighted Elijah at the beginning of the show, and he just highlighted himself as a Cassante. And we did the same for Lingard, and he highlighted himself as well, getting the MVP. We also highlighted Custom, and he's going to be playing on the next game versus X-Drop. I know instantly right off the bat, Dino, you want to communicate. You started laughing even before I ended the sentence.
Yeah.
You want to talk about this one. Duckling, before he jumps in, tell me.
No, I'm gonna let it go to Dino first. I want to hear what the Dutchman has to say about his lovely extra. I have the pride in my Danes. I'll get to that later. I want to hear what Dino has to say.
Yeah, he's happy because Custom is a Dane, but there's also 2 Danes on Verdant, so like in the past, so he's
How
still
many
gonna
Danes
be happy
do we have?
in general. I mean, coaching staff included, it's 3 Danes again this game, I guess. So, looking at X-Drop, I just want to see him pop off one more time. It might be his last game as an AD carry. So that would be really sad to see, because he stepped down from the coaching role just to teach kids how to play this role still. I think he has it in him to go at least 2 to 3 more seasons, but for some reason I feel like this is going to be his last game, so I just want to see him on a hyper carry, controlling lane as he does, and then in the mid to late game completely take over.
Yeah, it's kind of sounds so selfish, but I want to turn my attention towards the mid lane match. You're right, it's the Dane versus the Dane. Yeah, he has the guitar ready. I was waiting for that one. But there is some actual analysis behind it, right? Because I think coming into the split, I thought it was a huge statement from Verdun to start Harbo over Erol, who over the course of a few years now have built himself up to be one of the better mid laners in our league. I'm personally a big enjoyer of him, and we've seen him multiple times perform in the NLC. Harbo, who finally then got his chance, I thought, again, big statement there, starting him. But he hasn't really delivered what I hoped for. I think he's had a few good games where he's shown the ceiling he can have, but he's simply been too inconsistent. There are a few too many games where I feel like he falls through, instead of where he steps up to the plate. Because when he finally has, in particular, he has had a few good Syndra games, and he has stepped up to the plate and shown what he can do. But then he's going up against someone like Custom, who as soon as Custom hit the Rift, he hit the ground running, showing that he's one of the best players on this blue-white roster. And despite them only having one win, I will say individually, Custom has had the better split compared to Harbo.
There's only two things I want: Rengar not to be banned, and Kassadin to show up. It's the last game from Blue Whites. We've talked about it. Custom loves that champion. So please, there's nothing else to do right now. For the name Blue Whites, this is it. Vados, Rumble, Ivern being removed from... Wait, Blue Whites removing Ivern. They love this champion.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a tell, but also Dopamine is a huge player of it, so getting rid of it makes a lot of sense. I think they might wonder whether that gets first picked otherwise. And of course, Blue Whites here, in with the possibility of causing more of an upset. We are expecting, of course, the likes of X-Drop to be really difficult for Blue Whites to overcome, because inevitably in the kind of Blue Whites games, they have strong early games, but it comes towards those more structured moments later where the macro and the caliber of our teams tends to show through at the kind of later stage of the game, and that will be the point where X-Drop and Karmsky come on through, because they will get a hold of some of those scarier teamfight AD carries. Ashe is certainly right up there right now, even if she's more on the initiation front of that side. That priority should be pretty scary for Blue Whites, and they will need to come in ready and raring to go, because if X-Drop gets free time on that champion, it's pretty ugly right now.
And I'm all for it. This is why I'm here. This game doesn't really mean anything in the playoffs run anymore, so these teams can actually do what they want. Now, it's a weird juxtaposition that a lot of teams find themselves in the end of the split, where it's like, we could have complete fun. We could go completely off the rails with our draft, overcook ourselves, and just do stuff like the Kassadin, but also go way beyond that. But at the same time, you still want to show what you're made of, because most of these players are looking at a longer career than just today. And that's why I like coming out with that Ashe, instantly following up with logical champs in a Leona and a Karthus. But I do want to see some more spice, because let's be honest, it's your last hurrah. It's the last time to pick out those pocket picks out of your back pocket, and I want to see that happen.
Yeah, just to even add on to that, right? We discussed this yesterday when Ashram was also going about, I need to see custom Kassadin. The big issue then was Blue Whites were blue side, right? Yeah. You really want to be on the red side to know what you're going up against, and so far so good. It hasn't been banned. That's the big thing. If it gets banned in the second rotation for Verdun, I think we'll be in for some trouble, sadly. But I think, maybe this could be the game to start. A Corgi has been banned, so the strong mid laners have been removed as well. So there is certainly a window, I could say, with the strong mid laners gone as well. Surely we could fit it in.
Yeah, the rel being debated and potentially locked in makes some sense to me. I wonder now whether Blue Whites go, well, we've lost the two main kind of super easy AD champions to pick in mid lane. We could look towards something like the Ezreal, or of course the Yone might be an option here as well if Costum's feeling comfortable. You've already got the Karthus, it's a strong AD option. Feels like most matchups are playable there, and even if it is not necessarily the S tier, it's certainly at that A level for most levels of competitive play. Instead, they go towards the Zeri. It is a flex right now, it is worth noting. So we'll see how that one plays out. We've seen some of it mid. We've seen occasionally top into things like Cassante. Is Costum or Blue Whites in general feeling spicy enough to try it, though?
I was just looking at the bans right now.
Yeah,
I need to see
it's
this.
exactly holding.
There's a lot of AP already on Blue Whites. There's a lot of AP, so you now need to compensate over the AD.
I mean, Felix will just play some AD in the top mid, right? He'll whip out the Renekton, and he'll...
Or it could be AD
play
mid lane.
To do that.
There's
no,
a pick.
No.
There's a pick that was brought in. It was brought in an interview with Costum, and he told me, I have to be on red side, and it has to be debatable. And I think versus Kindred, it's perfect. But I'm gonna shut up because it's a secret pick, and I'm gonna shut up until it comes up.
glad you brought Kindred up, because for now there aren't really great tools for Blue Eye to deal with Kindred. So if Dopamine gets a good game, if he gets a few stacks, it's really annoying for these champions to actually play into a Kindred. Kindred into Karthus is great to have. You have Leona hard engaged, you have a Zeri with the crash down, but as long as Kindred's positioning is good around Rel and Ashe that can buy so much time and space, it's kind of annoying. And what I don't see in the draft, in the ban phase from Verdant, is banning champions out that are historically good into Kindred. So I'm wondering if Blue Eye is actually going to pick up one of those champions. The main one on my mind right now is the Gragas, to see if they can actually take Kindred out of the Lamb's Respite, because if they can't, this could be a really tough game.
It could be at the AUP for
final
Veluxa.
ban.
Yeah, final ban coming
I
in
know.
from Verdant. You do it, LeBlanc.
LeBlanc,
They think
okay.
this is for custom.
Surely.
Okay. No, they don't pick it here. They wait for the final pick. They want to know what they're going up against before they decide. But yeah, I'm
Yes,
waiting,
yes.
I'm
Expose the
waiting.
top lane so we can get a counter mid. This could be it. If
Is
you get a
this the
Yorick,
day?
I would be
Man,
really happy
this
as
is
well.
tense.
But I'm just here for the fun. I'm just here to enjoy.
Yeah,
this.
take the
Okay,
rank
go
to top. Then
Renekton.
you have
Yeah,
some more
yeah,
AD
yeah.
damage. That
Yeah, let's
okay,
go.
that means you can out debate that going. Yeah, you could definitely go AP in the mid lane now, right? That's certainly feasible. Let's see now what the matchup will be, though. Like, I'm looking at his league Peter right now, and I'm seeing pretty much every split, except for this one. He's played at least one Kassadin game. It wasn't the TCL or single split where he didn't play, but that was a short split. And when you look at his long splits, he's actually played quite a lot of Kassadin throughout his competitive career. 5 games, 4 victories, and 1 loss. That's a pretty good ratio, right? So
Okay.
surely you have the confidence of whipping it out as the Jax gets locked in up against that Renekton.
I will say though, I'm looking at a lot of AD champions here. The Syndra would be AP, so finally have some AP to play into. But Castin, normally you want an AP matchup to manage with the way your shield works on the Q in particular. Could give it a go now. If you're fancying a bit of a show-off moment, could be good. The only thing is, because you've got the Karthus with you, it becomes a lot easier to optimize against you in a side lane. But you can still do it for style points, and that I am fully on board with trying.
The Syndra makes sense, right? I discussed it just before we headed into the game. This is the champ that Habbo has had the best standout moments
Come
on. The
on,
Kassadin
man.
is now
Go
hovered.
Come
We
on.
have to lock it in. Come on.
Man, this is
It is the final
Either
game.
that or we
Custom,
sit.
will you
Come
finally
way
on.
too
show
hard.
your favorite
Custom.
champion?
You can
Don't
do
be
it.
told
You
that
told
as
me
well.
on the
Don't bait
interview.
It's still just a hover. No!
Oh my, yeah.
Is that Karthus mid?
Okay. If it's Karthus mid,
Hang on, is
That
that
is
Karthus
that
mid?
is disturbing. Like the fact that he sits there hovering it for
or is
so long.
it Viego
Or
mid?
is it? Or is it?
It's Viego mid.
There needs to
I
be
mean,
some
he could
competitive
go
ruling
Viego
on this.
mid.
This cannot be allowed. Like, get him out. Get him
Is that-
fired.
I haven't seen Viego mid since Viego first got released and Caps was trying to play it to mix
Is
to
that the
veil.
speciality you talked about, Asher? Or
No, the speciality would be Lee Sin. He loves Lee Sin mid.
Guys,
Oh,
is this
boy.
normal?
He was massive back in
Viego.
2021.
Yeah, I was not
does this happen a
expecting
lot?
this.
Viego mid?
No, no.
I'm looking through my notes. I can't really find it.
We are not that cooked. Okay? We cook a lot,
That's
but this
wild.
is
I mean,
a
It's not that
special
bad, yeah, no.
dessert.
For custom, I
Okay.
said shampoo exclamation mark. That's what I wrote down, but I didn't expect it to be Viego.
There you go. That's the question you were looking for. The question I put up right now is: after Champion Select, without the labels of the teams, without the tag, who would you pick? Initialize, Duckling, then Dino. Who would you pick to win this one? Verdant versus
Okay.
Blue Eyes.
My head says Verdant. They've got a much easier comp to play. Great pick. My heart says, let's go, Viego mid. I want this to work, baby.
Let's go, Duckling.
Yeah, I'm thinking very much the same thoughts. Custom has never played the Viego mid before, but why not end the split off with a victory? I've predicted Burton, but my heart is telling me for a custom domination, and let's see if it happens.
Dino.
I'll let my age show. I'll be the voice of reason. You're playing
Boring.
Karthus Viego into Kindred, and you can't really stop the Lamb's First Bite, so as long as Verdant don't lose their brain in teamfights, it should be fine. So let's just be reasonable and give it to Verdant, even though the hearts maybe tell Blue White.
You know what? Just to make sure that we're tied up since we're forward on the desk, I'll also be the voice of reason. We got Viego, let's go, baby! We don't care about reasoning! Who needs reason? Woo!
Very different energies between the desk and our little box over here. First of all, you know, Dino, it's a trial by fire for you, I think, for these drafts. So well done for trying to bring logic and reason to them. My favorite part so far was: are you sure that the Aurelion Soul's going bot lane? Like, come on, Dino, Have you been commentating a different league all split? What do you mean?
I think you may have done. Getting involved across the channel, potentially. For Verdant and Blue Whites, I think the stakes kind of there for Verdant in this matchup.
Yeah.
A win does mean that they would avoid the ignominy of potentially falling to 7th place if Natives are able to get the W over DMG. But I think this is all about pride, right, Rude?
It is, and more importantly, with now every position other than that, 6-7 scuffle being locked, it gives us the opportunity for a final game that has actually no stakes, and that means that draft could be a lot more entertaining.
More entertaining than Viego mid. Well, I can't wait for that one. Let's get on to the Rift for this game. We go. The final time that we're going to be seeing Verdant and Blue Whites this split. So, Rude, what do you think of Viego mid?
What do I think about Viego mid lane? Now, I'm thinking in an isolated matchup that it's actually not going to be as easy as maybe Costum would have expected. However, he said with bated breath as Blue Whites invaded 5 people into the bot side, the theory behind the Viego in the mid lane, I'm going to assume, is for a pretty tried and tested composition, a pretty tried and true style of push and roam. My concern is that getting push versus a Syndra might not quite go as easily as a Viego might like, and we may just default to part 2 of that plan, which could just be roam. Now, in this matchup, I'm actually okay with it. Unfortunately, I've not been a great fan of Harbo this split. I think you can afford to maybe give him a wave or 2, uncontested, if you're getting 2 kills on MKR, who has been by far the best standout for Blue White so far this split. So there's a world where Blue White still can play through their bot lane with a bit of an early presence from Costum to make a fight happen.
I think the wrinkle that I put on that is that it is Harbo Syndra, which if I think you're going to pick a champion for this guy, which has been a bit of a higher performer, it is on this pick. Not really a champ that we see all that much in the meta right now, but it is kind of his bread and butter, alongside something like the Karma, where you can have a fairly non-interactive laning phase and just throw stuff at people, and then come the mid game, you're still able to offer a lot in terms of your one-shot capability and stuns, with the Syndra, and also the shielding, and generally just being a nuisance as a Karma.
Absolutely. Now, the good thing is for Costum is that he is playing a melee laner versus, or in a current meta where we have Doran shield plus second wind, so he can just walk up, tank as many auto attacks as he likes. He's probably going to be fine, and just one all-in, like one small trade, is going to end up being much more favourable for the Viego than it is going to be for the Syndra. Nice that we're seeing Harbo save scatter as well. Obviously the Spectral Maw from Costum very telegraphed, so as long as you're saving scatter for that, you should be fine.
Oh, invade coming through here from Dopamine, going towards Quest on the Raptors, and Harbo was also cheating towards the top side of mid lane here, so Dopamine going to be able to bully Quest away from that Raptors, but he was still able to get the little ones at least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the mini-map here. Quest's clear looks to have been take his blue and the enemy Raptors is my assumption. I might have missed that earlier on, so apologies for that, folks. As then walks back in, he's going to clear off the rest of his bot side jungle. But with the push through on that bot side as well coming through for Verdant, it's worth mentioning that the bot lanes for both of these teams have been their shining spots, right? It's Drop versus MKR, 2 players who we've been excited about versus both these teams. Calm Sky, he's going to be fine. So getting that lead in the bot side is going to be really important because we know both of these AD carries can pop off.
Yeah, this is a bit of a difficult situation here for Blue Whites. Potentially going to be able to catch out Calm Sky on the rotate over, although taking a bit of a safer path back to lane. Quest is going to reveal the intentions of himself and Poupe here. All the time that he's spending here has allowed Dopamine to clear red side quadrant and now clearing onto his own quadrant too. So the jungle CS hasn't really started to develop a disparity just yet, but that is going to change over the next minute or so.
I have a theory, Middlecop. The competitive League of Legends is rigged. And in the sense that Kindreds never get their mark. Level, or the first ones that spawn on the first crabs, always on the opposite side of a Kindred.
You've been listening to the betters in chat again, haven't you?
Ah! You got me. You got me.
First name, last name, series of numbers. What league is this? These players are so bad. Thank you very much for your high-level analysis.
Who won draft?
Who did one draft? Who were winners?
Who were winners?
3-2-2? 3-2-2?
How many kills did Steve get last game?
It's Steve.
Yeah.
Oh, he hasn't played a game of League of Legends in a while, mate.
Oh. Why not?
Oh, I think he retired, bro.
Ah, okay, well, fair enough. Potential. The room!
He's roaming! He's pushed, and now he's Roman. Call him Alexander the Great. Isn't able to get the Spectrum or onto either members of the Verdant bot lane, but drop will fall regardless. First blood for MKR.
First blood for the Zeri, exactly where they would like it to happen. Yes, it's a wave dropped in the mid lane. Yes, Harbo is going to get this one under the turret. This is kind of what we theorized, right? That if you're happy to sacrifice a wave under your turret, if it gets a kill onto MKR, feels like the best way Blue Whites have been looking at taking games pretty much throughout this entire split. If they want to go out with a bang, feels like this would be the way to do so.
Yeah, and they're up against a Verdant side who emphatically haven't been able to secure those W's. Dopamine getting caught out here. Pupe roaming up as well. Veloxa flashing under the tower. And culling the Meek as Custom. May put himself in a little bit of danger with that Spectral Maul, but is able to walk on out of there. Blue Whites, 2 kills to the good.
And remember, Dino said on the desk that as long as Verdant don't lose their minds, they should be fine to take these team fights. They've got a much better team fighting composition as the game gets later. The caveat that I will add to that is that Zeri late game, period. Now, if MKR gets fed and he's able to be that threat in the later stages of this team fight, in the game even, it could be very, very tricky. But Drop, you can see, not going to give him an easy time toward that late game. And as long as Verdant can start to slow this pace down, I mean, it's only 2 kills thus far, but it's been a little bit wishy-washy so far.
Yeah, and we can talk about the reliability of the Zeri once you get to late game, but I think Kindred also exceptional once we get
Syndra R too.
Syndra, Jax. I think even the Ashe can provide a little bit more damage than people would expect. Blue White's looking for a contest around this dragon as Pupe is able to catch out Dopamine, who doesn't have the level 6 yet. And Custom is able to get a kill for himself. Reset secured for the Viego. And Drop is in the middle of nowhere, desperately attempting to get a kill back for himself. But I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it. Hold on, turns it around. It's a messy fight on the south side of Summoner's Rift. And Custom will claim the dragon.
I got very confused because I saw a repossessed body and a Karthus. I was like, both junglers are alive! What's going to happen? It wasn't anywhere near as exciting as that. So I apologise for the fake enthusiasm as that may have seemed, but I was genuinely just being dumb. But Blue White's starting out this game exceptionally well, and Verdant going for a fight around the dragon that it would seem to appear they have no purpose going for, as Dopamine now has to back away, surely.
Oh, you can't just do this again, bro. This is going to be the 3rd time that Dopamine's got caught out before he's hit level 6. This time, though, he escapes with his life. Kumsky might not be so lucky as he's stunned by the Spectral Maw and taken out by Custom. I'm not going to lie, rude dude. I'm loving the Viego mid.
So am I, Middlecut. We saw the push and roam, and now we're seeing the push and own. Ooh. Trade down in the bot side. Both AD carries going 1 for 1. Flash used from MKR. Drop didn't have that available, but trade of summoner spells looks like the wave crashing into the turret of Verdant means that the bounce back is going to be favourable for Blue Whites.
And it's strange to talk about a team which is 1-12 as having developed over the course of the split, but it's exactly what Blue Whites have done as they're looking for another play up here in the top side. Shihan gonna get slowed up, throws up the helicopter, gets 3 people stunned with it, but will still fall down, and there's no responsive of it. How has Dopamine died again?
This time, still level 5 in fact. Take that counter up to 4 times he's been caught now without his ult, even though he got away with one in the mid lane just a little bit ago. But MKR managing to find himself yet another kill. 5 and 2 on this Zeri. Now I will say, Middlecott, one of the phrases you've just used is the development from Blue Whites. And I'll actually challenge you a little bit on that point for this game specifically, because Blue Whites have actually always been a fairly solid early game team. They get their leads, they'll find some fights, look really good for about 5 to 10, maybe even 15 minutes. once we get past that 15-minute marker, they just seem to crumble. And normally it's in the macro game where just putting people in the wrong lanes and losing turrets without getting anything back. But versus a Verdant team who have definitely struggled on the back of, I think it's 4 losses they're on at the minute, they could very easily have the chance to take 15 minutes and go even further.
5 losses in a row as it stands. Definitely been a disappointing second round robin for this squad, which I think a load of us had pegged at the start of the split, at least making playoffs, if not potentially getting a little bit further. But it's going to be second split in a row with Verdant missing out on playoffs. It's been rough for them.
But still have a couple of bright spots. I think that Drop has been a standout. I do think that Calm Sky has also been a relatively successful support as well.
Oh, Ashok coming from the base into every little bit of CC that Verdant have got. They're able to get a kill. Beautiful solar flare coming out from Poupe, and it's 2 more for MKR.
Static Shift finish so early is just disgusting, and MKR's going to profit from it. Gets a plate in the mid lane as well. Dopamine, you can try and step up to this, but you do just die. Maybe the help of Shihan will get you there, but letting the Zeri base may well be the wise decision.
Yeah, and if we're talking about 80 carries on teams that have struggled, I think that MKR has been another one of those who was really put on the burners. I would love to see him in the NLC next year. I think he's definitely made a case for himself in this league.
Absolutely. Now, this top side, we're panning up to it, has been, of the map, the quietest area, but somehow with a kill and an assist for Voluxa, somehow managed to get himself involved in a couple bits of action. Shihan, another performer on Verdant who's had his moments. I think that his Jax by far and away is his best champion from this split. Need to see him in the late game, and once we get to a stage where they can team fight and maybe even just have an element of split push, Shihan should be dominating this side lane. We've seen him use great TP flanks as well in the past to turn tides of team fights.
Yeah, but I think those fights are going to be difficult for Verdant as the gold lead for Blue Whites has been extended to 3,000, and we're fearful of a potential mid-game slump for this team. That can be inoculated against by just getting such a massive lead early on that the enemy can't really compete with you. Once again, we're seeing potential moves towards the mid lane. It's not just Quest or Poupe, it's 4 members of Blue Whites
Just play safe mid.
going towards mid, but with the vision from the Hawk shot, then spot out the potential for the play.
Talking about vision, look at this bot side jungle of Verdant. Just absolutely cluttered with wards. Can't see for the amount of vision that Blue Whites have got down there. Now looking for a 3 versus 3 down on that bot side. Very early Carp Assault.
Oh, Requiem is actually going to be blocked, and Shihan potentially falling down. Has to flash away to stay alive. Custom looking for something in the mid, and actually, with 6 members of this game converging towards the bot lane, they'll back off in the end.
Merktread's rush for Custom this game, going to help him out endlessly versus the Syndra specifically, and also if he does get hit by an enchanted crystal arrow, that extra tenacity might help him out as Blue Whites.
Oh, Dopamine, are you enjoying League of Legends, buddy? Are you enjoying League of Legends? Blue Whites! Best that we've seen them this whole split long, I dare say. 14 kills in under 13 minutes.
And you know what? Poupe deserved those kills. He started that whole fight off. He started the engage and gets himself his rightly vindicated reward. Has come in and has honestly been a good performer. I mean, it's only 2 games. It's a small sample size, but his laning phase yesterday, definitely up to par with the Nord bot lane that he was playing up against this game. Finding these engages, landing solar flares, and quite crisply as well, one might add. So, again, another player that, even though their time has been short so far in the NLC, that does give me a little bit of hope and a little bit of excitement as well.
And with Blue White's next competitive game is going to be in that promotion tournament. We're seeing a team here which honestly feels a little bit too good for that tournament, the way that they're playing.
Kraken Slayer finished for Drop though, so not all doom and gloom for Verdant. First items pretty much finished up across the board, and if we take a look at the item discrepancies for right now, it's probably their best window that they're going to look to be able to fight at. Whilst MKR's only sat on components of that second item as opposed to having, well, JK, the full Runans fully finished up. might have been their best window to look for, but at least for Verdant, the mission is clear. It's kill MKR.
Easier said than done up against the Zeri. Oh, so slippery, can skate around the edge of a team fight. And if just one kill comes down, then we're looking at multiple resets for Custom on this Viego mid. Verdant, though, making an aggressive play into the enemy bot lane. Dopamine needs to be careful. The Cutstop is going to come down, counteracted by the Lamb's Rest bite, but Blue-Whites are more than happy to respond. It's 2 more for MKR.
That's the second time this game that he's queued one person and Static Shiver's finished off the other. It's just a beautiful set of kills for MKR. Once again, able to rotate swiftly from that mid lane down into the bot side this time and finds himself another couple of kills. Blue-Whites finding more and more gold onto their marksman who has been so good.
Shihan, bro, you just heard them.
No.
Take away the heralds. You can't play for this. All right, you're going to be able to get the first tower. That's a little bit of bonus gold for yourself, but Blue-White should be able to easily clean up this kill onto the Verdant top laner. Quest getting a little bit of action for himself, and as the game gets later and later, Verdant are trying to make plays for themselves, but Blue-Whites just keep responding well.
Not too many bad things to say about Blue-Whites so far this game, and we've broached that 15-minute marker, that time in the game where we typically tend to see their lead start to peter away. Drake spawning in 90 seconds time. Dopamine now caught by Volluxo as he slices, dices and gets away.
There's still a lot of chase potential here. The arrow from Drop, pinpoint once again. And finally, something nice to talk about here for Verdant. A kill, a third one onto Dopamine.
I think that's the way that they're going to have to play this. It's use Dopamine on sides and use that enchanted crystal arrow as well. It does mean that it's very, very scary. When you're trying to play in the mid lane, trying to get that wave play might well be a little bit difficult. If they can use that side lane, use Shihan, use Dopamine, they have got damage to utilize with that Ashe CC, so not all doom and gloom just yet.
I mean, that's one of the benefits of having this sort of composition where you've got multiple carries at every point. Yes, I think that Drop has been out-accelerated a little bit by MKR, but it's hardly like he's in a bad position for this game. But then you've got the one-shot potential of the Syndra. You've got the damage coming out from the Kindred. You've got Jax jumping into these team fights as well. It's not looking great at the moment, but there are angles here for Verdant to play. 30 and a bit seconds until Soul Point for Blue-Whites. Can Verdant contest?
I think it's so good that you bring up all of those tools that Verdant have. If they take down MKR, that's the gold lead gone, right? 500 mid, 500 support. I'm not bothered about those discrepancies. If they can take down MKR, that whole gold lead gets eviscerated immediately, and then the fight after the fact could be won. And it's important to say that it could, because you've still got reset capabilities from Costa. Quest, even if he goes down, Karthus, half of his goal in a team fight sometimes is just to die, so he can do damage. A massive AoE. Blue-Whites now continuing their storm through the mid game, taking down that mid tier 1 turret. Got bot lane still to go for the outers.
Custom gonna get potentially caught out here, stunned, still has the ultimate, needs to use it to get overall. TP comes through from Shihan, and Blue-Whites are on the run a little bit here. Another Ashe ult gonna be dropped down, but Poopy, the ideal target for that to hit if you're a Blue-Whites fan. Verdant, though, have managed to secure priority around this dragon as Blue-Whites are just looking all mid.
Yeah, and they can probably take this tier 2 if they're swift enough about it. Verdant will have to see if they fancy themselves a fight. Flashes are all available for Verdant. The only one missing for Blue-Whites is Poopy. No fight to be had, though. A civil handshake stops the Drake stacking in favour of taking a tier 2 turret, and if I'm Blue-Whites, I'm taking that every day of the week.
Absolutely, sort of extending that map advantage. This dragon in isolation for Verdant doesn't grant them too much more power. Yes, it's a delaying action against Blue-Whites, but if you're just always going to have that mid lane priority and the ability to set up vision in the enemy jungle, especially with the composition that you got for themselves, you don't mind this game going an extra 5 minutes.
And in case anybody was curious, they are always going to have that pushing mid lane priority. They have got MKR, who's going to be going back to base, picking up that Infinity Edge. He pushes every wave, and even if he gets contested for it, let's say an Ashe ulti comes through. First of all, he has E. Second of all, he has Cleanse. And third of all, he has Flash. So, we're not expecting the pick onto the Zeri to be particularly easy now. And when we're looking further and further into the game, I'm starting to think, well, maybe we just start throwing Ashe ultis out just to see if we can burn the cleanse, a bit like you would do with a Leona ulti, for example. You just start fishing sort of 90 seconds before an objective, see if you can find a quick summoner spell and make that work, but the goal is obviously to take down MKR. The ideal of that, though, a lot more difficult.
Dopamine and Calm Sky going for a bit of an adventure towards the top side. Shihan has been able to get a decent push on this top lane tower, and this matchup has started to shift a little bit more in favour of the Jax as time has gone on, but he might be at risk of dying for another tower here. He's able to claim it. The counter-strike dodged away from MKR, going over the wall and immediately flashing back away from the counter-engage. Down comes the Requiem, blocked by the Lamb's Respite, but the health bars on Verdant are oh so low. It's a 2-for-1 in favour of the Finnish organisation, and Harbo needs to run for the hills. The ult is not enough to take out MKR! And Blue Whites get 3 more kills.
But that's all summoner spells off the Zeri. Just as the Baron spawns, there's nothing left in the tank for Verdant to stop this, though. 20 minutes on the clock, and Blue Whites are taking the big purple worm.
I mean, you've got a Karthus with 2 items, you've got a Zeri with 3, and all the additional damage that Custom is going to be able to provide for this. You take this down so damn quickly. And that mid-game fumble from Blue Whites has not happened. A small lead in the early game into a large one in the mid-game, and as the minutes tick by, the gold lead is only increasing for Blue Whites.
And just to like harken back to that fight, Veluxa had one of the best flashes that he's probably had all split long. The frame before he's about to die to whatever source of damage it is, flashes into the Lamb's Respite, keeps himself alive, and then is the point of aggro for the entirety of Verdant. If the Crocodile goes down there, they can split their attention. They can start turning onto MKR, Quest, whoever it is that they need to. And maybe then the Syndra ulti takes down MKR. But the fact that Veluxa survives just that little bit longer means they have to expend just a few more resources to take him down, and allows Blue Whites to wipe the fight. It's one of the small things that might get overlooked, but one that definitely netted them this advantage.
The slim margins, which can so often decide League of Legends games. Quest going to throw down the ultimate, interrupted there by drop. That's arrowed down, and Blue White's back away.
That's how they're looking to pick people off. That's how we've seen Verdant find so much success, so much chance in this game, and sort of clawback potential has been off the back of drop using this arrow. Now, obviously, it's good that they don't get Karthus ulted, but it means that their ability to try and find anything back in this game starts going down even more.
Coupe and Custom looking for drop here, instant cleanse away.
I think I would have liked him to have tanked that, you know? He has his team right by him. If Custom comes through, if Coupe comes through, odds are his team probably ends up taking them down, and I think that's the type of situation where you can afford to be a little bit more liberal with when you are looking to keep a hold of your cleanse. Nevertheless, though, you can understand the theory of if I die here, maybe I'll just lose the game. It's not worthwhile taking that chance.
Oh, Shihan played onto by Custom, and well, not really able to do too much for himself. Custom still looking aggressive though. As we've got another dragon spawning in 20 seconds, and I think this is where we start to look at the power of getting that mid tower down. Blue Whites are just so free to walk into the jungle of Verdant to look for picks to extend their vision line, and yeah, Verdant, you were able to get that Drake 5 minutes ago, but it doesn't look like you're going to be able to get the next one.
Best part is that Custom is largely able to do it on the cover of darkness as well. Arrow goes wide.
Ooh, Coupe going for an engage, but the rest of his team aren't really here. Quest gets blown up by Harbo. Going to be able to drop the Requiem. No way to interrupt that, but the Locket Shield providing a little bit of damage reduction. Still, though, it does feel like Blue Whites are the ones with the position as Harbo caught out.
Shihan.
And that's that. Here comes Shihan, not able to find an engagement. And even without their jungler, Blue Whites still feel happy to take this fight. Poupe shot with the arrows. Dopamine dancing forward as well, but multiple low health bars on Verdant. MKR still full HP.
Yeah, and that might be enough for Verdant to try and take this Drake. Now, MKR still has his ulti. That's the important part if they want to try and find a contest. Very possible to do so, but who's going to be the tank? Who's going to be the front line? Costin has that red buff regen. Poupe very low on health.
Ooh, that was so close, and Blue White's going to be looking for the fight afterwards. Veluxa going for a flank. Custom Trying to go on top of X-Drop, who is
That's
kiting
Zeri.
absolutely beautifully, and MKR is going to be dropping down. Hold up, Verdant. You've just got a dragon. You've just got another kill for yourselves. 4 dead members of Blue Whites for the first time this game, and Verdant are right back in it.
And importantly, again, just Drop keeping himself alive, is eyeing up Costum the entire time, knows he's channeling that stun. All I've got to do is flash it, and then, even better than that, steps back in so that he dodges out from the Heartbreaker as well, immediately turns his attention onto MKR, who unfortunately can't quite do it all. Pretty much 1 versus 4 in that fight, didn't quite have enough damage to take down the members of Verdant, focusing him out. A great juggle of aggro from Verdant as well, it must be said, and just the slimmest of margins once again for Blue Whites, this time costing them big time.
Yeah, and I just want to point out a little itemization thing. Poupe, he's gone for the Locket, he's gone for the Knight's Vow. It's very, very clear what his goal is. Protect his team, ensure that the likes of MKR, the likes of Costum are able to stay alive, but forced him to approach that fight with a very low amount of HP. If he'd had a Warmox, he would have been able to get that regen and be a little bit bulkier in the front for his team, but ends up being the first kill of multiple falling in favour of Verdant.
Now we start to take a look at the other itemizations. Bloodthirster for Drop fairly early on, so not going to be feeling the ramifications of that Karthus ulti nearly as much. Of course, the Locket has been really useful for Calm Sky as well, who's been pretty much on point with the timing. Obviously very telegraphed and not the most mechanically intensive thing, but just a smart heads-up play for Calm Sky to open up with that item. It's now Drop just challenging a little bit in the mid lane. If it's not MKR in the mid lane, firing an ulti may not be the worst thing in the world.
Absolutely not, and Verdant showing great tenacity to recover from that position where, I'll be perfectly honest, I was ready to call the game in favour of Blue Whites with no chance of recovery. Verdant, they are still down, but they are still in this game, and Costum is going to be getting out of here just about with the Heartbreaker and the Flash invested, and Verdant are starting to feel a little bit more confident now.
I don't think mid-tier 1's really on the table unless they're going to brute force it, but wave play from MKR, fortunately still very, very scary. 4 completed items on this Zeri as Dopamine jumps in and immediately has to be a little bit cognizant that might not have been the smartest choice. Yoink.
Yoinkity sploinkity.
Those are words.
Yes, well, I'm not sure they actually are.
And therein lies the sarcasm, Middlecott. Congratulations.
I'll get onto the Oxford English Dictionary. I'll change this situation for the better as Poupe not quite able to find the engage onto Drop. Instead, turning on to Harbo who flashes away. Here comes the Requiem. The reset secured for Blue Whites as Veloxa is making Dopamine stay very, very bad on the other side of the fight. It's the hope that kills you, and Blue Whites snatch it away from Verdant.
Shihan still has teleport. Shihan can come in and maybe make the difference with Drop at his back, but that damage from Requiem and any pre-existing damage that came through, just not enough. Blue Whites are going to secure themselves a second Baron. It's going to come at a cost though. Bot lane tier 2 does fall. Fortunately, there's no wave in the mid lane. Blue Whites doing their due diligence. They can keep a hold of that tier 1 for yet another time longer.
Baron number 2 for Blue Whites, back in control of this game. But at least for the next few minutes, we have to feel
60 seconds on that Drake spawning with the Baron at their backs. Mid push, bot push, control that bot side jungle, secure yourselves a dragon. Game plan should be relatively clear for Blue Whites. We've been in this position before. We've got excited. 5 minutes ago, Middlecott, we got excited at the potential of Blue White's second possible win in the NLC. Still need to wait and see if they can, I'll say, finish off the book. Dot the I's and cross the T's feels a little far-fetched just yet.
Still a couple of paragraphs that need writing. But Blue White's absolutely in a position to do that. This dragon would be soul point for whoever picks it up, but it's not going to grant a massive burst of immediate power. So there's definitely a line of thinking here for Verdant that you go, do you know what? We're probably going to have to fight them in 5 minutes anyway. Why not give up this dragon? Why not prevent any risk from befalling us? Still got some items that need to be completed. Drop only on his 3rd. And Harbo yet to complete his 3rd. Whilst Dopamine finds himself in a similar power trough.
So they have the time then to try and wait as Shihan has apparently broken open the base versus Baron, it's worth noting. And now there's this weird dichotomy where we get Karthus Assault, should get Locketed. Majority of that damage obviously immune, but Harbo still taking a decent chunk there.
Okay, needs to be careful stepping up. Obviously, he still has access to all of those tools that you listed before, and
He wants the game, buddy.
Hey, he's really feeling himself as he goes to the ultimate. Shihan just on the top side going for a reset is actually going to be interrupted here as Blue White's just about able to take down that inhib tower, but Quest is going to be falling for it in trade. Doesn't have the ult available, so
Drake?
Blue White's going to be moving towards the Drake, but they don't have their jungler right now.
Well, I think that Verdant are going to get Soul Point here, Middlecott. Wasn't particularly on my bingo card for this game, but the way that the last couple of minutes have just played out, Verdant secure themselves their third card dragon of the game.
Yeah, I think a big part of this actually has been Shihan on the split push, drawing a lot of pressure and really preventing Blue Whites from being this big, clumped up death ball that they can be with this composition, right? MKR getting kills in fights is brilliant, but if Custom isn't there securing these resets, you lose a lot of the power that you've invested into.
And it seems that Verdant have got just enough wave clear between the volleys of the Ashe and Syndra just existing that they can actually stave off Baron. They've staved it off twice. Their base is just barely broken open by that turret that fell in the mid lane. And of course, the power of a scatter of the weak, if you step one micrometer too far forward, you just get scattered, you get taken down, much like Quest did there. Had the flash, but was gone in the duration of that scatter. 4 fight and finish now for Drop, has got that upgraded previous wounds. So the healing coming through from Costa and from Veluxa, they're going to be a little bit reduced.
Yeah, I'm not sure that a team that is currently 1-12 needs any reminders that they're mortal, but Xrox seems happy to let them know. Good news for Verdant is that MKR can't really get much stronger. He's got a Zephyr to go building out of these boots, and that's pretty much it. So the gold lead that Blue Whites have accrued on their AD carry is starting to matter less and less.
We still have a couple of levels left. Can't forget the importance of base HP and the statistics that come with those levels. But you're exactly right, Middlecott, that the potential growth for the rest of this Verdant composition definitely a lot higher than what MKR has left open and available to them. The fact that they were able to take down that mid-tier 1 just gives them a little bit of breathing room almost, that if they get push on a mid-wave, they're not going to be immediately battered back by the next wave coming in, and that they can get themselves a little bit deeper into enemy territory. As looks like Blue Whites have fully committed up to this top side, no surprise with Baron being the next thing up on the chopping block. Not going to be for a little while though. They're just sort of posturing once again, making sure that if they're anywhere, they're there together.
Yeah, and I think the way that Blue Whites play these waves over the next couple of minutes is going to be very interesting because they haven't found themselves at this point, I want to say kind of ever, this split. They've not been forced to play late game macro at all in a competitive game, and even when they were able to grab their win up against natives, that was 25 minutes. They could just run at the opponents kind of with reckless abandon, but absolutely not the case here. Poopy going to be looking for the solar flare, isn't able to find the stun, still dodges away from the damage as Quest just gets jumped into the middle of absolutely everybody. He's going to bring down the Requiem, but once again the Locket of the Iron Solari preventing a lot of that damage from coming through.
That's a little bit of Quest being in an awkward position, a little bit of one of his teammates sabotaging him there. I'm not too sure quite who it was, but fortunately for them, no particular objectives up immediately. Now that Baron is up inside the next minute. It's going to give Blue Whites a little bit of a challenge when we think about getting purchase into that topside jungle. Seemingly though, Verdant not looking to make the most of that. Topside jungle fairly dark still on both sides.
I think this is the sort of potential issue that they're facing. Finally able to get a little bit of shove in the mid lane because MKR isn't there, but
still 10 seconds on Quest and Baron just spawned. They might just rush this.
Absolutely something you can do. It's not like Quest is going to be able to teleport in. Shihan has reset back to base and is going to make himself known around the Baron pit.
Wow.
3 Barons in this game. Blue Whites have got 2 and only just able to open up the base. Let's see what Verdant can get done with this.
Well, I recorded myself 5 minutes ago. I'm going to replay it now. Push mid, push bot lane. take control of vision of the bot side jungle and try and secure yourself a dragon. Except this time, it's Verdant and it's their soul point. Or soul, even.
I'm not going to lie, that extra movement speed sounds absolutely brilliant when you're playing up against Azeri.
And a Viego as well, I'm not going to lie. The chase down potential of a Viego with a harrowed path, bleh.
Pretty damn gross. Verdant, again, feeling confident.
But they can say they don't need this dragon, right? They did all the hard work earlier on by taking those prior drakes. Yes, if Blue Whites take this, it stops their soul, but they've got a Baron. Like, maybe they try and use that for a little bit.
Potential issue, not sure if this is coming through on your end. A little bit of lag there. But we are back with the dragon spawning in 20 seconds. Blue White's not
They've
really
got drop!
any sort of flank position has dropped. Potentially going to be falling here as Dopamine gets the Lamb's Respite just in time. But it's the main man for Verdant all split long that falls first in the fight. And Blue Whites will look to take over. Verdant are running for the hills, but they're not going to find anything. Harbo somehow gets the kill down onto Quest. And the other jungler on his team is going to be dropping. Not quite the end of the game here for Verdant. Blue Whites will secure their third Drake.
Should take mid turret as well off of this. The inhibitor, you'd like to think will fall. This is a sizable numbers advantage. For a sizable amount of time as well, 40 seconds on Dopamine. Chase them away, and if Verdant die here, this could be game.
What are you doing, bro? You're way too far forward. Just about able to jump himself out of there, and actually Pupe and Custom taking a fair chunk of damage in return.
Get the inhibitor, guys.
Blue Whites, they win the fight, but they can't really claim too much more with it. We are guaranteed to have a Dragon Soul if this game goes another 4 minutes.
I was going to say, guaranteed. The likelihood is we will get a Dragon Soul. However, there's one thing that I've learned, particularly about the NLC, is that maybe to expect the unexpected is, to all intents and purposes, the one person I didn't have getting caught out from Verdant was Drop. Unfortunately found himself in the eyes of Pupe, who this time round didn't miss. Solar Flare found him, managed to connect on the Zenith Blade as well, despite his best efforts to try and get away. The chase down potential, the follow-up from the rest of Blue Whites, it was there. Shihan and Harbo, they've still got the Baron, but I don't think they're going to be looking to make too much use of this. And this is the time in the game when we're expecting Shihan to be a menace, to be a fiend. Looking at the disparity between himself and Veluxa, that's a full item up over the Renekton, who's working towards sort of death dance for the Renekton, so they can be a little bit more durable, but making a fight versus this Jax, who's got a complete jack-of-all-trades build path here, by the way. Definitely going to be tricky.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, I feel like Shihan can kind of just take the tower in the face of Veluxa, but
maybe not in the face of all 5 members of Blue Whites who appear to be running towards this bot side.
That's a pretty gruesome visage for the Verdant top laner. He's found a potential angle to get away, but he's going to be running straight into Quest. I think he can take this, though. He's going to get stunned up in the end as Karlsguy is also roved over. Solar Flare connecting onto the Jax as he the Custom stays alive with minuscule amounts of HP. It's a winning fight thus far for Blue Whites as MKR just tanks through it all from Harbo, but still comes out on top.
2 AD carries up and standing for Verdant. 4 members of Blue Whites barreling down mid lane. 2 are on running anchor duty, stopping those recalls. MKR and Custom, they got the job of ending the game. Drop got back to base. He snuck away in the Krug pit. And not even an inhibitor.
Another fight for Blue Whites that
And then they back away.
had the appearance of a game ender, but they would not be so lucky.
Expect the unexpected, Milcott. That could have very easily just been the end of the game. Quest going down and Custom living on just a slither of HP. But managing to get that reset, not just the 1 time, not just the 2 time, but 3 resets. Kept him alive. That HP regen was just barely enough, and that's the power of this reset composition, and specifically the reset capabilities of the Viego.
Just a reminder, neither of these teams fighting for playoffs. Neither of these teams really benefiting in any material way from a win here, but It just shows how important winning is to all the guys on the Rift here. This isn't just about having fun. It isn't just about playing League of Legends. It's about competing. It's about winning, no matter the circumstance. And honestly, Rude, I could not call it right now.
I don't think I want to. I don't think I have to. I think the teams are going to do all the talking for us. Pupe has been quintessential for Blue Whites in their winning fights. Collecting drop is going to be their name of the game. Talks about it in the get-go.
Oh, Sheehan making a play alongside Harbo onto Veloxa, who's somehow still alive!
No Death Dance. He dies to
Double
Death Dance.
Zonya's coming through. The top laner for Blue White's dead for a minute. The Baron up now. Verdant beelining their way to the top side of Summoner's Rift.
Trying to cut them off though if they can catch Harbo.
Oh, MKR just diving straight on top of them. The Solar Flare getting the slow. Sheehan throwing up the counter strike, but Harbo is dead. It was a pick for Verdant, but it's a fight for Blue Whites that they are gonna win. Sheehan not able to buy enough time, but Verdant, they already got the Baron.
2 members down for Verdant. Veluxa has TP. There is a window where they will have a 5 versus 3 on the map. The inhibitor, for the life of me, needs to go down, Blue Whites. How much more is the question? A wave spawning, Baroned up minions to act as defense, and 30 seconds on your solo laners. It's Drop and Dopamine who have got the hard job at hand.
It's so difficult to clear out all these minions. Custom go for a pick onto Dopamine, not quite able to pick up the Kindred.
Woo!
Dopamine forced away to the top side of the fight, but Quest is already so damn low. Blue Whites no longer have a minion wave. Veloxa popping the ultimate. The Dominus going to be used. Dopamine on low HP himself, but dashes on out of there. And 3v5 Verdant hang on.
It costs them both of the flashes. Karthus ulti.
It's going to come down, but it's not going to finish
Don't face
anybody.
Jack!
Oh my word, no! Oh, he just steps too far forward. TP's available for Jihad and for Harbo. But Drop is on the run, gets the slow coming through, kites back in to dodge the damage, but still goes down.
They've got to play messy, they've got to find fights now, Verdant, before they get back.
3v5 round 2.
That's
Pupe
good.
drops into the death chamber. But with the bot lane off the board for Verdant, contesting this dragon is going to be so damn difficult.
Theoretically, a 4 versus 3 with all of your carries up. All signs point towards Blue Whites taking this dragon, but she has just hopped into the pit.
It's a risky place for him to be. No flash has to queue.
Give the soul.
Out of there. And it is a bitterly fought game. It is a bitterly won Cloud Soul for Blue Whites. We're going to have Elder hitting the Rift in a few minutes' time, but not before potentially the 5th Baron of this game.
And it's a game that could have very easily been over probably 20 minutes ago. Blue Whites found themselves in a position where they took Baron literally on spawn at 20 minutes, having found a fight that could have very easily just put the nail in the coffin of Verdant's abysmal second half of this season. But from those ashes has spawned life, and the challenges of this game have been met so far. Game hasn't ended. And again, we find ourselves in this stalemate. Cloud Soul is a great tool for finding team fights, but MKR specifically going to be very, very scary when he pops that lightning rush. It's just not quite that ticking time bomb of an Infernal, of a Hex Tech, for example. Not the be-all and end-all to close out a game.
A tool to find victory, not an inevitability unto itself. Blue White's absolutely still in the advantage. Still not fully capped on everybody. Item completions waiting to come through for Custom, for Quest, but same could be said for their opposite numbers on Verdant.
Sheehan, full build already. Has himself, like we mentioned, jack of all trades really with this build path. Got himself that stasis and the GA.
Custom.
Fancied himself a little bit there, didn't he?
Yeah, feeling very confident, overconfident perhaps, but the movement speed from the Cloud Soul showing a little bit of its value there. You can dip in, you can dip out, and Burn are going to find you A little bit more slippery than they did a few minutes ago.
Goal right now for Verdant is to try and avoid fights as best as possible. We're at this late game phase where the game can be really slowed down, where we can take a moment to think about what has gone well for us in previous fights. How are we looking to play out the future ones? And for me, the big thing that I'm looking at is drop splash. Need to make sure that this Ashe has their own element of safety. As minuscule as it may seem, but as important as that flash summoner spell is, drop cannot be fighting without it. Harbos is back, Sheehan's is back. But those are the tools that Blue Whites need to be keeping track of. We're going to be going into this fight, whether it's around Baron or around Dragon, it doesn't really matter, but most likely going to be with all 5 summoner spells up, and so far both Calm Sky and Pupe have found exceptional engages. Maybe a deep ward for Sheehan, maybe a rogue flank for the Jax, akin to what we've seen from splits gone by, games gone by this split even. Could be the tool for him as he sets up a little bit down on that bot side. He's trying to bait.
Quest. Hit by the Ashe Arrow, but not going down. That's a big cooldown expended by Verdant, but one of the beauties as you get this late into a game is that ultimate is going to be coming up very quickly. Flash also coming up soon for drop, and the cruelty of late game League of Legends is everything that happened in the 45 minutes up until this moment is rendered meaningless. Doesn't matter that MKR has got a 4,000 gold lead over drop. All that matters is what happens in the next fight. And who wins it? Dopamine jumping forward. Sheehan thinking about an engagement, but Quest burning the flash to stay alive. Elder in 2 minutes. Baron in under 60 seconds. Verdant dashing forward. Pupe getting a little bit of damage. Veloxa going for a deep flank TP. Here comes the Requiem. Here comes the Solar Flare. And here comes the one-shot on to drop. Saved by Jungler. But look at the other side of the fight. NKR's going fucking crazy as he takes out everything that Verdant throw at him. And in a moment, in the blink of an eye, Blue Whites look to have secured victory.
They don't need Elder, they don't need Baron. All they needed was one good fight. The TP from Veloxa, the engage from Pupe, but most importantly, the dodging, the weaving from MKR, and the damage from this Zeri takes them to their second win in the NLC.
Oh, 30-second death timers coming through for drop. It's an open path to the Nexus for Blue Whites, but I'm not sure those countdowns will come through in time.
The game is over. No amount of Rel, Ashe, short death timers can make this work.
Hard fought, well earned. Blue Whites with victory number 2 on the final day.
And we'll give you all a minute, I think, folks. That was quite the game of League of Legends. And that spawned really out of nowhere. Blue Whites had the advantage for the first 20 minutes, and then had the quintessential Blue Whites moments of lose your mind and start losing the game, but not quite to the point that it was unretrievable. They salvaged what little possession they had of the game and found themselves 3 Barons, I think, total that game. A Cloud Soul to go with it, and one hell of an AD carry.
Oh man, if I don't see MKR in NLC next split, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that one. What a performance. What a game. We're going to break.
Break it down, break it down. Step on the gas, let's get out of town. We're gonna break out and have some fun. We're gonna do what you never done. Oh yeah, yeah. Come on, take your body with you. It's a money weekend. Everything we wanna, we got